Hi everyone, welcome to the US CPA Business Analysis and Reporting Examination classes. So in this particular video, we are in State and Local Governmental Accounting, and the topic we'll be covering is the format and content of financial section of Annual Comprehensive Financial Reporting. And in this particular video, we'll be discussing in detail about financial reporting entity, including blended and discrete component usage. So let's dive into to understand more in detail about financial reporting entity, including blended and discrete component usage.
Discussion and analysis. Now coming to the financial reporting. Financial reporting entity include blended and discrete component reporting. So what they are saying? Blended and discrete component reporting. Discrete mean separate component reporting. Blended mean combining together the non-significant components, basically. Right? How you make the financial reporting. So now we are understanding how to make the financial reporting, including blended reporting, which is like all small units clubbed together as a consolidated number, and all the significant unit need to be disclosed separately. So the governmental financial reporting entity is typically the legal unit defined by the character or defined by the charter or law. But some government also include other governmental unit, maybe quasi-governmental unit like PSU, right? Not-for-profit organization like Sector Skill Council if you see in India, right? Or you can say Invest India or Startup India, these kind of initiatives, what we have, right? They all are governmental units, but not purely government, right? So these are not-for-profit organization which is being considered as initiative for the development of the country, right? The business entity in their financial statement as a component unit. So all these things will be considered as a separate component of the overall government financial statement, right? For respective component which is material to the overall government financial statement, you will be disclosing things separately. But for all the non-material government initiatives, or you can say the NGOs, or maybe the trust, or maybe like initiatives, that you can consider and club together as a single component unit as an other component unit. So GASB defined government financial reporting entity comprise, the first one is the primary government, right? Second one is the organization for which primary government is financially accountable due to control or potential benefit. Third is organization fiscal dependent on the primary government. Third one is affiliate tax exempt entity with significant resources. Fifth one is the entity facilitating government services with majority equity interest. And the last one is the organization included to prevent misleading statement. All other organization in reporting entity are referred to as component unit, with examples like water district, airport, school, etc. Right? So these are like different categories of the component in the government organization, right? So incorporating the component unit data into the primary government report involve blending under the specific criteria, circumstances in which you are required to blend, and how you need to blend the presentation, how you need to present the blended information. So two things you need to keep in mind. First is when you need to blend, that is the circumstances which required for blending. Second, if you're blending, how you need to make the presentation for blended information. So in the left hand side, we'll be understanding the circumstances in which you'll be blending the information. In the right hand side, we'll be discussing about the presentation, how you need to disclose the information for blended units, right? One second. The circumstances which necessitate the blending include the following. The first one is substantively the same governing body between the primary government and the component unit. So for example, like state government do have multiple units, right? And all those units are being owned by the state government, right? Then when you are making a state governmental financial statement, so you can blend them, those respective component units, right, with the financial statement, burden relationship or operational responsibility by the primary government. Second is the component unit exclusively serve or benefit the primary government. So the unit which is being there, that may be a separate NGO, but 100% that NGO is working for dedicated for a particular government. For example, like heavy machinery sector skill council, they work only and only for MHI, right? Same way there is a telecom sector skill council, they work only and only for the telecom ministry, right? So those things can be clubbed to the respective department. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
Third one is the primary government is expected to repay the total liability of the component unit. That means, for example, like ICT Academy, I think I have shared about them to you. So ICT Academy is being formed by the MIT, which is Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology in India, right? So initially they have given some grant of like around 8 crore rupees to set up that ICT Academy, and then after they are being the guarantor of ICT Academy. That means if ICT Academy get into the losses or they have any liability to any department or any other organization, then MIT will be paying, right? So in that case of scenario, the ICT Academy has to report or club together with the MIT. Make sense?
Primary government.
Yes. The component unit is incorporated as a
Your voice is
not-for-profit. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can hear
Yeah,
you.
no, yeah.
Is it better now?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
yes.
There might be some network glitch. The component unit is incorporated as a not-for-profit organization with the primary government as a sole corporate member, right? So in all this situation, you can club the respective component to the respective government with whom that particular unit is working. Second is, once you are blending it, how you need to make the presentation. If you come to the right hand side, for proprietary type component unit, proprietary type or enterprise type, right? Their data is included as if it were another proprietary fund of the primary government. Same way how you club primary government data for the proprietary fund. So same way you'll be clubbing that respective enterprise fund or the proprietary fund in the overall fund financial statement of the primary fund. Second is government type component unit. Their data is included as if their funds were the same type as the primary government. So for any government type component, like government type have five category of component, right? If you remember government fund, there are 5 type of fund: general fund, capital fund, revenue fund, debt fund, and what was the fifth one? Do you remember that 5 type of fund we have studied last?
And endowment fund.
Endowment fund or permanent fund, right? So any similar categories can be clubbed into those respective category as if it was the primary government, right? Except the component unit, general fund is reported as a special revenue fund of the primary government. As a general fund, resources are specific to the component unit purposes, right? Any doubt about the incorporation of the corporate unit, or incorporating, not incorporation, incorporating or blending the corporate units?
Also,
So far so good?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
सर सेक्शंस जो हम पढ़ रहे हैं इन पे दिस कवरिंग फार का जो फर्स्ट चैप्टर में
Fifth,
पोर्शन है वो
last
भी
chapter. Last
तो
chapter
फर्स्ट
only.
चैप्टर में भी गवर्नमेंट के ऊपर एक पोर्शन है तो वो भी हमने होल्ड पे छोड़ा हुआ है.
No. So governmental accounting, all we are studying here together, whether it's being part of first chapter or the last chapter. So both the things we
Okay.
are covering in one go, rather than
Okay.
repeating the same thing again.
Okay.
So maybe in book, there may be like one topic in the first chapter and remaining in the fifth chapter or fourth chapter. But here in the notes, everything is at one place.
Okay.
Right. And one thing, like when it comes to FAR, there's one topic called not-for-profit organization, right? So that we have already covered in chapter 1. So before we started the state governmental accounting, we have covered a topic called not-for-profit organization, right? The accounting of the same. So that we have just covered before starting this one of chapter 1 of the FAR.
Okay.
Okay, discrete presentation of component unit in the government financial reporting presentation. Discrete means separate, right? Separate presentation of component unit. How you are presenting them? So if you see here, it is called discrete component unit, right? There are different way to provide the discrete component information. But for example, this example which we are looking at it, this is how they have presented the discrete component unit. So this is like housing authority, first 5, and the health authority. There are 3 discrete component unit for which they have provided all the assets, inflow of resources, outflow of resources, liability, deferred resources, and net position. Right? Same way they have provided their statement of change in activity, which is program expense, program revenue, journal revenue, change in net position. Right? This is called discrete component unit presentation. So discrete presentation of corporate component unit are reported in government-wide financial statement except fiduciary component unit. What is fiduciary component unit? For which you do not have ownership. You are managing as an agent on behalf of other beneficiary, right? So as this is not your ownership, you are not required to disclose it. The person or the government or the department which is owning that, they will be representing that into their report. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
So discrete representation of component unit are reported in government-wide financial statement except fiduciary component unit, which are fiduciary fund statement, to distinguish them from the primary government units. They appear in a separate column or row alongside with the primary government data in the government-wide financial statement. So I think I have one example for you. So this way, like we'll be discussing, this is government activity, business type activity, primary of total government, and then the component unit. So this is how we'll be making in the government-wide financial statement. So we'll come to that. Then reporting requirement is a major discrete representation of the component unit must be separately reported in the government-wide financial statement. That means major component unit always you will be reporting separately, and all the minor you can club together and report aggregated as an other component unit. If not, the basic financial statement should include the combined statement or the combined summary of the statement of these component unit. Make sense? What is discrete financial statement?
So
What is discrete financial statement?
जिन components जो कि इतने small है that we do not they are not falling in the category which we discussed above, that we can that need not be represented with the main governmental presentation, financial statement presentation. They need not be clubbed with that, and it can be disclosed separately.
Yes, right. And what all components we need to combine together? The component which are not material, not significant, right? Right, everyone? Are you guys with me?
Yes, yes.
Okay, let's do a practice question. Metro Journal is a municipal owned and operated hospital and a component unit of Metro City. So Metro Journal is a municipal owned and operated hospital and a component unit of Metro City government. Where should the information of Metro Journal to be presented in the government-wide financial statement? It should not be appear in the government-wide financial statement in the component unit column after the primary government total, in the business type activity, or in the government type activity, where we will be presenting this about the hospital.
So
Hmm?
the component units column after the primary government total.
Component unit after the primary government, business type activity, government type activity, or nowhere.
दिन लग रहा था
Hmm?
सर 2 होगा ना, जिसमें हमने ऊपर जो
सेकंड
पढ़ी थी उसके हिसाब से होगा ना, कि अगर वो completely own करता है तो we have to club it and show it, तो it's
Right.
second.
So second one is right answer. It has to be in the component unit after the primary government total. Right. So this is the format in which you will be providing the government-wide financial statement and the reconciliation. So first is government-wide financial statement net position. So you'll be presenting government activities, business activity of the government, then total primary government, and then after component unit, you need to disclose separately. Right. So here you'll come with all assets, deferred outflow, liabilities, your current liability, non-current liability, your deferred inflow, then your net position. Net position include investment in capital, restricted net position, or unrestricted net position. Right. So elimination and adjustment are made to convert the governmental fund data from modified accrual to normal accrual basis as required by the government-wide financial statement. So you need to make a reconciliation, and for that reconciliation you are converting the modified accrual to full accrual. Governmental activities. So what all things include in the governmental activity? All government fund assets and liability, general capital asset, which include your infrastructure assets on the street, roads, bridges, dams, which are not reported in any fund financial statement. General long-term liability, which include your bond, borrowings, etc. Assets and liability of the internal service activity that provide majority of their services to general government department. So here, the first column, which is government activity. What all things you need to include here in the government activity? All the government fund assets and liability, your capital investment, your long-term liability, or assets and liability related to internal service activity. Second is your business type activity, right? So in the business type activity, what all things you'll be including? All enterprises activity, which is primary objective activity, or any internal service activity. So if you remember, in the proprietary fund, there are two types of fund: business type, enterprise type fund, and the internal service fund. So from there, both the information will come over here, right? So in the journal capital, accumulated depreciation, journal capital minus accumulated depreciation is your net capital asset, which are reported in the governmental activity on accrual basis. Next is net position is classified in the same three categories: net investment in capital, restricted net asset, or unrestricted net position. If you see here, your net position is being divided into these three categories: investment in capital asset, restricted net position, or unrestricted net position. Right? Payable and receivable between governmental activity and business type activity are reflected in the asset section of the governmental activity component or business type activity column as internal balances. Or interfund payable and receivable between the funds used in the governmental or business type activity are eliminated. So interfund payable and receivable are eliminated. or payable and receivable between the governmental activity and business type activity are reflected in the asset section. The primary government total is presented after eliminating all the internal balances. Right? This is government-wide financial statement, how you need to show the functions, your expenses, your changes for services, operation, grants and contribution, capital grant, and then after net expenses or revenue and changes in the primary government activity, which include governmental activity, business type activity, and lastly, you'll be disclosing component unit. So this way it will come the government-wide financial statement. One second, I'll show you here also. So this is respective component, government fund component, which is special revenue, debt revenue, capital project or permanent, and this is the total government project. And then after, I would like to show you the government-wide financials. So these are non-major special revenue funds, which is clubbed together in the government-wide financial statement. This is still budgetary comparison schedule. Once again, still in the budgetary. So this is fund financial statement for the debt fund. This is about capital fund. I request like each one of you to just go through this PDF which I have shared with you, so that you have an idea like how this governmental fund look like. This is like cash flow. It is internal service fund. Fiduciary fund. Fiduciary fund, you just give the disclosure, but it will never come in the government-wide financial statement. That is only required disclosure. This is statistical section. Okay, this is 5-year statistical section. The government-wide financial statement activity. If I say page number, one second. Let me take you back to the top. It was page number 25. Yeah. So if you see here is a government-wide financial statement. So this is a net asset position. You see all the governmental activity, business type activity, and the component unit. Component unit always have discrete presentation. That means it always show as a separate line item. Right? This is what I was saying. And this is again statement of activity. Yeah, so this one I was presenting here. If you see the format, government-wide statement of activity. So in the government-wide statement of activity, you have expenses, you have indirect expenses allocation, you have charges. This is all come under the program revenue. So you see like expenses, then you have, if I do this, it may be better, slightly better. Right. So this is your expenses, your charges for services, then grants and contribution, capital grant and contribution, then governmental activities and business type activity and the total component. If you see here, there is an extension to this. So these two pages will come like this. When you printed out this report, this page is in continuation of the earlier page. Here is the primary government activities, which is governmental activity and the business type activity. Right? Can you see this? Yes? No?
Yes,
So
sir.
this is what we have mentioned over here. Right? So first is the program revenue, and then second is the primary government type activity. And the component unit is always be a separate and discrete information. So here, if you go back and see in the previous page, the primary government function. So first one is primary government, function 1, function 2, then total of the primary government. Same way primary government, these are the function, and this is the total of primary government activity. Then after business activity, so maybe I can bold this for your ready reference. Right, this is primary government, and then after is about business type activity. Then after it is component unit. Right, so it is coming one by one. Same here, business type activity. There are 3 business type activity, and then last one is the component. So total of business type activity, so total of primary government, and after that is the component unit total. Make sense? And then after, if you see, they have mentioned journal revenue. Right, same way here it will come journal revenue, but journal revenue will come from the primary government activities, not from the program. Right, so journal things will always come from the primary activities, not from the funds, not from the program. Right, that include property tax, sale tax, other, all these things over here, and then transfer. Same way here also, contribution to the permanent fund, special and extraordinary item, transfer to and transfer in, and then change in asset, net asset at the beginning, so reaching to the net asset at the closing. These information. Right, so this is actually the format how the information need to be present into the government wide statement of activity. Make sense? Any doubt here?
Also,
This is a standard format, we need to follow. Same way, like any of you might have seen the financial statement of bank or audited any bank financial statement or insurance company financial statement or any government company financial statement. They have their own internal reporting format. So this is kind of internal reporting format, or this is the format for external reporting. Sorry, my bad. Right, this is their standard format. Make sense? Yes, no?
yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, shall we close, or shall I continue? How's are you absorbing the information? Or I know these all are new information for you. Are you comfortable absorbing them? Shall I go ahead, or shall we close the class over here? I'm open like either ways.
तो क्लोज ही करते हैं
घर में है आयुष,
सर अभी
आकाश.
कितना रह गया गवर्नमेंट का सेक्शन?
No, it will take 2 classes more.
टू
अच्छा,
मतलब 2 वीकेंड्स और 2
No,
क्लासेस?
like tomorrow class, and then maybe next weekend probably. Yeah. 3 class you can say.
plus.
उसके बाद हमारा क्या क्या रह गया?
For FAR is over then. Yeah.
बीच में मतलब छोटे मोटे टॉपिक्स आई गेस हैं, रेशियो एनालिसिस वगैरह 1-2 चीजें
That
हैं.
you can do at your own. Since school days you are doing ratios. It's what I need to tell them. It's a formula only.
Yes, yes.
So from school days, from 11th standard, you are doing ratio analysis. I'll send you all the formulas. Don't worry.
और सर उसमें एक और टॉपिक है पब्लिक कंपनी रिपोर्टिंग टॉपिक्स एसईसी फॉर्म्स सेगमेंट रिपोर्टिंग
That is all
तो
like
वो
10K, 8K. I'll send
उसमें
you the notes. I'll send you the notes. It is
वो
very
मेजर मतलब लेंदी है या छोटे से टॉपिक्स है
no, like you have already seen 10K. Like in every class we go through 10K, right? In
राइट
every almost like other class we go through 10Q. So the same things. And 8K, like special reporting. So these are the only three forms. But I'll send you the notes. And those
और
are
एक वो है
self-explanatory.
स्पेशल रिपोर्टिंग फ्रेमवर्क्स कैश बेसिस एंड इनकम टैक्स बेसिस
I think
ये
that we have
टॉपिक्स हैं
covered. That we have covered.
कवर
ये
कर लिया
ये वाला ये हो गया कवर
That we have covered. Yeah.
अच्छा इसके
You can
नोट्स
take.
नहीं होंगे आई बिलीव
Yeah, maybe I'll send you the notes for that.
सर
But
इसमें
yeah.
2-3 नोट्स हैं आई वाज जस्ट सर्चिंग इक्विटी के नोट्स नहीं है मैं सर्च कर रहा था इक्विटी के नहीं है और इन टॉपिक्स के फिर मैं भेज देता हूँ
ठीक है
गरिमा को या जो भी है
ठीक है no problem
सर
so
एक
I
बार
think
अपडेटेड
next week and like 3 classes it may take for all governmental accounting to finish tomorrow and the next weekend I think next weekend we are done with the governmental accounting
ओके
cool okay so everyone
सर रिमेनिंग नोट्स भेज देना सर
sorry
रिमेनिंग नोट्स मतलब जो
for today's class
टुडेज एज
यस
वेल
सर
एज प्रीवियस तो गुरमेर सर
previous classes I have already shared in group
किस क्लास के आ गए थे सर? उसी दिन आ गए थे वो तो।
पर उसमें ना इक्विटी के नोट्स
हाँ
भी है
इक्विटी
I
वाले
guess.
गैप